It's a special episode today on the podcast, and it's been one that I've been excited and can't wait to share. And here we go. Welcome everybody to episode 6 of Under the Middle Rope. I'm your host, Jose Tabuada, and yes, as I've mentioned, it is a special week this week because today is the debut of Patron of the Month. Where, if you so kindly watched the Patreon announcement a couple of weeks ago that opened up for support of this channel, if you are a middle rope patron or a $3 tiered patron, you will get the opportunity to submit topics to me and my guests. You will get to submit your suggestions, your topics on what you want us to talk about, what you want us to discuss, and then from there, you're crowned as the Patron of the Month. And of course, today's Patron of the Month is a guy who was a guest a couple weeks ago, who has been so kind enough to support. And again, I can't thank him enough. It's Nick Charlick. He was here, of course, his son appearing during the WrestleMania review podcast in 4.1. He's not here with us today, but again, I'm picking his topic because it is Money in the Bank season after all, and his topic was your top 5 Money in the Bank cash-ins. And of course, with 15 years to go through, there's a lot, but I have my top 5 and my guest today, just the one guest, and of course, it's everybody's favorite Andrew Wolf Woltman. The man loves to be on, the man enjoys his time here, and it's awesome to find somebody with that kind of energy. Not that the other guests haven't, but Wolf is definitely becoming a little bit of a fan favorite so far with those that watch. So he's here with me. It's just us two, like I said, and we're going to be sharing our top 5 as Money in the Bank rolls along. So let's get right into it, shall we? Sit back, relax, and enjoy Cash in Glory. All right, everybody. As always, welcome to the video portion or the discussion portion of our podcast. And joining me always is a man who has threatened to steal everything from my fridge if he doesn't get on the podcast. And of course, I'm talking about our favorite guest, Mr. Andrew Wolf Woltman. Welcome back, buddy. You're on again. Do you promise not to take anything that I have?
I won't take any more of your yogurt.
Yeah, he's been stealing my yogurt for the last 6 months now. But anyways, moving on from there. Yeah, it's a small discussion today, but of course, it's also a fairly big one. Today is the debut of the Patreon of the Month, where if you're a middle rope patron or a $3 tier patron, you can suggest topics for these special episodes once a month, where you give us what's on your mind, and we'll be out here to discuss it. And today, our Patron of the Month is our good friend who has appeared on the show before, Mr. Nick Charlick.
Boo!
And Nick has given us an interesting topic, and today's topic that he's selected for us is: what are your favorite cash-ins? Top 5 Money in the Bank cash-ins of all time. Of course, it is Money in the Bank season. We are at the time of this recording, we are just under 2 weeks away, or just under 2 weeks away from the big day where somebody's life will quote unquote change. So, of course, Wolf to this day, and I gotta admit, Wolf, I'm still laughing at your reaction from the way that the match is going to be last week. That has definitely turned into a under the middle rope favorite.
Donkey Kong or bust.
Yeah, Donkey Kong or bust. So what we decided to do is to each come up with the top 5 lists ourselves. Top 5 of our favorite cash-ins of all time. Of course, it dates back from the very first one in 2005 to last year's 2 Money in the Bank briefcase, running the briefcase ladder matches from last May. So I have a list. Wolf has a list. What we're going to do is, one by one, we're going to be discussing our favorite cash-ins, starting from number 5 all the way down to number 1. And I will say in advance that our 2 lists are extremely, extremely different. And not to throw Wolf under the bus, but he's going to have a lot of explaining to do when he gets to his list. Aren't you, Wolf?
Okay, rude, but yes.
So let's get right into it. I'm going to share my number 5. Wolf is going to share his number 5, and then we're going to just quickly discuss that, what we think about each other's picks, or even add on to it, and then from there, go down the list. So my number 5 pick is Carmella. Significant for the fact that she was the first women's Money in the Bank winner. She cashed it in the night after WrestleMania 34, and just an insane pop. The Iconics, before she cashed in, attacked Charlotte. Carmella took advantage of it, and of course, who can forget the screeching, squealing, yelling towards Mike Chioda, just cash in, ref, extremely loud. But it was memorable because it is historic in that sense, historic in the fact that, yes, finally the women have this opportunity to do what the men have been doing for so long. And, a lot of people did kind of criticize Carmella at first, especially when she didn't, quote unquote, win properly James Ellsworth, messed it up the first time, came in, interfered with it. A lot of people were upset, and then they redid it, which Carmella from there redeemed herself. So I think it's just historic on all aspects. And at the end of the day, I think Carmella ended up being a decent champion. She had that title for a significant amount, the SmackDown Women's Championship. And, everybody loves a historic first. Wolf?
I'm actually going to change my answer from what I told you before.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm going to say that my number 5 cash-in is Jon Moxley, or I guess Dean Ambrose is what he went by at the time. Frankly, he was red hot going into WrestleMania 32. He had a lot of momentum. Everyone wanted him in that title match instead of Roman Reigns, and they just weren't giving us what we wanted. So by the summer, we kind of thought, oh, he's just going to be a middle carder. He's an afterthought, whatever. But then that promo right before Money in the Bank, where he has Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, he's like, well, neither of you considered I could win and cash in, and I'm leaving this as champion. And that was like the first time we got the seed in our minds of, wait, could they do this? And then it happened, and then it felt very earned. It felt like it should have happened before then, making Ambrose champion. I'm sorry, I've gotten used to calling him Moxley.
Yeah, but it's a fair point. I mean, where's that cash-in happened when 2016? Yeah,
2016. But yeah, I'm gonna say that that's a pretty significant moment. It doesn't rank higher because it felt like the iron had cooled a little bit by then. Pretzels. But it's still a really significant moment, and we got that "You Deserve It" chant the next night. And his reign may not have been what I hoped it would be, but I enjoyed the moment because it kind of poetically got back at Rollins for what he did.
Right, and you know what? I'm just going to quickly jump into my number 4 right now because that was my number 4. I thought Ambrose's cash-in was, again, what I tend to go for with cash-ins are like, how significant was the pop? How big was that moment when the individual ran it? And of course, yeah, that promo before Raw, Ambrose said that. And then, as soon as he wins it, I remember getting all excited. I remember getting all going all crazy. And then when his music hit that night, I remember I was messaging my friends. I'm like, holy snap, he's doing it. Ambrose is going to cash in. And he did it. I think he became the second person or maybe the third to cash in the night that they win the briefcase, which
after Kane, yeah.
After Kane, yeah. And then eventually, of course, Bayley did it and Alexa Bliss did it down the line. But it came in at such a good time, and the gap between Kane doing that and Ambrose doing that was long enough that, it felt momentous again. And he was the last of the trio, last of the original Shield trio to hold that title. And honestly, I think you're right. I think he did deserve it. I think it was long overdue. And yeah, sure, the reign may not have been as effective, like you said, for sure. And I think people wanted him more, but it's hard to ignore how monumental that was, where he just came from behind, attacked him. Rollins did win, of course, won the title, and then did what he did and just had the crowd going us. So it is a memorable moment, but yeah, it's I feel like it's one that's somewhat buried because of what he's doing today and where he is today. So I think that's why I kind of want to put it at 4. I will say that if he was still in the company, maybe I think it would have been higher, but I'm just going to leave it at, I'm good with number 4. So what's your number 4?
Well, this is going to seem kind of awkward. I'm going to say Carmella.
There you go.
We kind of just, flipped. Anyway, yeah. A lot of the same reasons that you said. Mainly, I just kind of wasn't expecting it. I mean, not that we're ever really expecting the cash-ins that much, but I thought they were just using that segment to introduce the iconics of Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. And then I thought they were going to get the rub from beating up Charlotte, and that's where the program was going. But then we got the swerve and Carmella's music hits, and that's what caught me off guard. And that's why this is a little bit higher on the list, because I wasn't expecting it in that moment, because I thought this segment was for another purpose. So that's why I would put Carmella at number 4.
And I think the good point that you bring up is that it's the night after WrestleMania. A lot of debuts will happen the night after, and then they'll get that significant kind of that moment. I think the Revival was that night as well, or if not the year before. But again, like you said, when NXT debuts or call-ups happen, that's just the main focus. For sure. I mean, with the Raw after WrestleMania last year, Lars Sullivan, who didn't end up to be anything. But again, it's that rub. It's that it's that significant moment for them, and I think that kind of makes sense as to why Carmella would be there, or where I would put her at number 5 out of all the cash-ins, because it wasn't expected at the end of the day. The music hit, crowd goes nuts, everybody's happy. So,
ouch.
I think it's fair. I just kind of love that we just kind of flipped that. Are you okay? Are you dying?
I dropped a pretzel and it broke.
Oh my goodness! Here we are dropping pretzels.
5-second rule.
You're taking the stuff from my fridge, and now you're just dropping pretzels. I mean, like, take care of your stuff, man. My goodness.
Hey, do you hear me in the next room?
Who is it? Let's go to.
We're out of orange juice.
Oh, you're out of oranges? Oh no.
No, we're out of orange juice. There's no orange juice in your fridge.
Ah, right. Yeah, I ran out the other day. I actually legitimately did. Actually did.
No, I drank it. Get more. Come on.
Number three to me was really, really big. Number 3 is, I think, had such a big moment because I think it's definitely one of the more louder pops in history, if not the loudest. Dolph Ziggler on Alberto Del Rio the night after WrestleMania 29 when he came out with that beat up blue briefcase. What a pop, and surprisingly not a bad match. Alberto was selling that knee injury. Ziggler comes in and they work together. They got the crowd going. They thought maybe, oh no, Ziggler failed. He would have been, I think at the time, the second person to fail their cash-in, if not the third. I'm just trying to figure out when Cena's cash-in came in. The second, right? Yeah, there you go. So again, like I just thought it was so big. And of course, again, another example of a lackluster run, because at the end of the day, it's funny because I remember the moment. I remember the cash-in moment. It's hard to remember the reign itself, which is weird to say. I mean, to be fair, I also wasn't watching too much, but that even though, like, when you're not watching the periods, when something happens and you still remember the aftermath after, then that says a whole lot. And Ziggler, I think just fell under that cut. But again, an amazing moment for everybody. Crowd is hot after WrestleMania. And so far, at least 2 of my top 5 just shows you that how important WrestleMania, the time just comes into that role with the Money in the Bank.
Okay, well, I'm just going to save us some time and say that my number 3 is actually the exact same moment.
Oh, there we go. See,
and I'll just jump on, like, to your point. Well, everything you said, and I'll add that Ziggler didn't really get that reign because he had some concussion issues at the time.
Right, there we go. I thought there was something wrong.
That's what happened. And then you got Jack Swagger or Jake Hager, or the lurch of the inner circle now.
Yes.
Versus Alberto Del Rio in a contenders match. But again, that moment was incredible. It was very significant. Everyone loved the moment. Everyone wanted Ziggler at that point.
That's true.
But I don't know if it's really any fault of his own that he never really got the push that he deserved, or if they just kind of give up every time. Because Dolph Ziggler, despite being Dolph Ziggler, he's pretty talented. He's a talented guy. He can carry a promo. He sells, a bug bite like a gunshot. He's a solid competitor. The system just never really gets behind him the way they should, and that's kind of sad. I don't know if it's related to his injuries, but I'm glad that he at least has moments like that where he can say, "I had that cash in, and I am a former 2-time champ." It's it's just wanting more from what they give Ziggler, I guess.
Yeah, and I think he technically could be like a really good definition of a WWE superstar. He has the athleticism, and when he needs to sell, the man sells. Like when I was at SummerSlam last year in Toronto, at Scotiabank Arena, he had a match with Goldberg. The man can sell spears like he just got run over by a train. The way he flips, the way it's all about his technique of selling, I think, is one of the best of all time. Like the man can just do it. And then again, like in that matchup, selling everything, the way they just compose themselves, the toughness, and against Del Rio, it's all there. And you're right. I mean, like, I know that also Ziggler could have been in hot water at times with like some of the comments he made outside of WWE. Like, I think I remember hearing back in the day that he said some stuff that should have been said. I think either about John Cena. I don't remember. I could be horribly wrong. But to your point, I mean, like, I feel like it could have been, injuries were one thing, but I also feel like a little bit of politics may cost him that push, which sucks. But I mean, I get
the best way to put it is that Dolph Ziggler is Dolph Ziggler. And He may get in his own way. I'm sure that there's some sort of backstage politics behind it. It may also be that they just don't see something in him that they can market. But Dolph Ziggler has something, and they just haven't really used it the way they should.
I think that's fair. Do you think he will again? If we need to just follow up on that, because I mean, like, that was 2013. We are 7 years removed, more than 7 years now, just over 7 years removed from that crowning moment, from the time he got on the pedestal, and now you look at how big of a polar opposite it's been. I mean, like, after WrestleMania 29, on top of the world, with the company's one of the company's biggest prizes, after WrestleMania 36, and a love triangle storyline, which it was an amazing storyline, but with the potential that Ziggler has, it just feels like it's such a big polarizing difference. So I guess, like I said, do you think that maybe even down the line, does he get back on that pedestal at some point?
Not in WWE. I don't see him ever going above maybe another Intercontinental Championship reign. I don't know how long he sees himself wrestling, because he has a lot of other interests outside of that. He's a stand-up comedian of varying success. I feel like he might be able to do that. But if he were to go to another company, say Impact or AEW, I'm sure there's much more potential there. I just don't feel like they're really going to go back to that well at this point in WWE.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I do wonder about stuff like places like AEW and Impact. I really do. AEW especially, because I guess like the stereotype at this point at AEW is that, like, anybody that leaves WWE or anywhere, that's your chance to get on what they missed. And for the most part, we've seen it. So far, for example, Brody Lee, obviously the biggest one right now, who's getting such a big push with the Dark Order. Cody Rhodes, what can we say about Cody from that aspect, right? There's a lot of pieces, but I still feel like Dolph Ziggler would get lost in that shuffle. I don't know why. It's just a weird feeling. Impact, maybe, because Impact, there's not too many big names in Impact. ROH,
I feel like he could have a solid match with Tessa Blanchard. I don't know why.
Oh, absolutely. I think that just attests to how good of an entertainer, of a wrestler he is. The guy can sell anything and everything. And with Tessa, why not? And I know some people are iffy on intergender matches for sure, but I don't see why not. I can totally see that. I can absolutely see, like, Ziggler and Blanchard having a match from there. But I do agree with you. I think WWE probably not again, unless there's some sort of miracle.
I mean, stranger things have happened, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's very unlikely, though.
Yeah, but I think, maybe Impact, I think would be my pick, but I still feel like no matter where he goes, he's going to be lost in that shuffle, which sucks. But that's just my take on it. Let's go to our number 2 picks. I think we're different here. I know we're different because, again, the list that you gave me makes me chuckle a little bit. My number 2 is the original Money in the Bank winner, the man who set the blueprint for the Money in the Bank. Of course, I'm talking about Edge. And I know we spoke about Edge last week, and even more recent. I think we said. I feel like we brought this up last week. I don't know. I know we tried. We did, but it's Money in the Bank Pacific, and I think Edge is like the pioneer of Money in the Bank. He won the whole thing. I was shocked when he won the whole thing. I think at the time I wanted Jericho to win the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 21, because I'm like, the guy who created it, why wouldn't you put it on him? He's the one that created the whole concept and brought it to Eric Bischoff in kayfabe. But instead, they took the Edge, and of course, as a kid at the time, oh my goodness, how dare the bad guy win? Brilliant. And that to me, that's what catapulted Edge's career. He ended up being that world champion. The way that he cashed in after a grueling elimination chamber on John Cena, a bloodied, messed up John Cena, and everybody at the time was going, oh my goodness, what the heck is going on? And Edge even admitted in an interview that he brought it up to Vince, saying that an interview with Inside the Ropes, he brought up to Vince saying that he wants to cash in when somebody's dead on with it. All the writers, except for Vince, were saying it was the worst idea that they've ever heard. And Vince said, prove me wrong, go cash in right now. And it worked to perfection. And that is the blueprint today. And I'm happy that's the blueprint, because this is definitely works. I think the blueprint works more towards a heel than a face. And Edge was the perfect heel at the time to set the bar, to set the standard for Money in the Bank.
I'll give you that.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you want my number 2?
I would hope I would want your number 2.
Okay. Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. I know this.
It's a bit of a hot take. It's a bit of a hot take only because your number 1 is hilarious. But
don't ruin it.
I'm not saying anything.
Well, number 1's clearly Damian Sandow, but no.
Yeah. So why is
number 2,
Rollins?
Seth Rollins. So I wasn't really a WWE fan growing up, and I started in 2015. But every year, I would go to a bar with my friends, and we'd watch WrestleMania. That was like the one day a year that I'd watch wrestling. And we went to Buffalo Wild Wings for WrestleMania 31, and despite telling me over the phone that they'd be showing it, they weren't showing it. So we went back to my dorm at school, and this is where it gets kind of funny. We watched in the room across the hall on the WWE network that that the guy across the hall had. And we're watching the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. And I think it was maybe after like an F5 or a spear, the cable cut out. Like our internet went down, and we didn't see what was happening. And then like 4 minutes, like maybe 3 minutes later, we get the internet back. And we're watching, like the image comes up, and it's the dude with the blonde streak from the earlier match holding the title. And I'm like, did I miss something here?
Oh,
and
no.
And then I asked like the guy who actually watches WWE regularly to tell me, and he says, "Oh, he has this briefcase. He can get a title match whenever he wants. I guess he must have just cashed in." I'm like, "Wait, what? That's a thing you do? That's a thing that happens?"
Fair.
So I didn't actually see Rollins. I saw the match before. I saw the aftermath. I did not see Rollins' cash in until maybe years later, watching it back. But that's just kind of how I was introduced to the concept of Money in the Bank, like a cash in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I vaguely knew who Seth Rollins was when I was watching it because he had this feud with Jon Stewart on The Daily Show, and I had seen the Randy Orton match. I was just like, I love this because I've retroactively found out everything about it. And I love the story, but it just stands so high to me because this moment, like, oh crap, the cable's out. Wait, who's that guy? Why does he have the title? So yeah, that's my number 2, Seth Rollins.
God, that's great. Oh man, how did your friends feel when that cut out? Like, weren't they like? I'm sure, like, wouldn't you be upset if you missed like one of the most crucial moments ever? Like, for example, like if I missed, let's say, Jose Bautista's bat flip and the 2015 American League Division Series, the Blue Jays against the Rangers, and I missed that bat flip, I'd be furious. And how did your friends react?
Well,
when they missed the cash in,
it was actually the guy who sat in front of us at NXT New York last year. Randomly, like we ran into him at NXT Takeover New York.
Oh, right.
I'm like, oh, I'm a wrestling fan now. Who knew? Oh, didn't know you. Random run in. But anyway, as it happens, like we come back, he's like, what? No, what? Oh my God, they did it! They did it! Yes, Roman Reigns, him.
Oh my goodness, that is damn. My number. Okay, so I'm just gonna jump into number 1. I'm gonna jump into my number 1, and the reason why I looked a little bit distracted because I pulled something up that I hope you remember, and I hope we don't get copyrighted burned. I'll explain what it is in a minute. But my number 1 is Rollins. My number 1, hands down, is Rollins because what happened that night was nuts. So my story is like I was at my yearly WrestleMania viewing with friends began the year before. We got back into it. I had the network, or one of us had the network before it came to Canada through VPN, whatever it is. We don't need the details. Before the night started, I was with my 2 best friends, my at the time podcast co-host. We're all over at my buddy's house, and then we all making our predictions, all writing on the list. And one of the columns that we had was, will Seth Rollins cash in? Never done at WrestleMania. The thought crossed, I think, many people's minds as the years went by since 2005, and not once had anybody done it, and not once were we thinking, they wouldn't waste it on such a big stage. The counter argument was maybe they will one day. All of us said no. We're like, Rollins is not going to do it. Like five of us said no. When the music hit and you see Rollins running down, your heart just goes nuts. You go insane. you freak out, and that I think that's to me it's I think it's the best cash in of all time. There's no doubt about it. Again, in my opinion, just the moment was there, the crowd went nuts. It was a genuine shock, and that's hard to do in WWE today. It's still so hard to do because you know how many people would have like just get like maybe dirt sheets, pull it up, or people just rumors, suspicions, and whatnot. I think Rollins found out he was going to cash in. I think 2 hours before the main event, after his match with Orton earlier in the day where he lost. And then that moment happened, the pyro, the fireworks. So what I want to show to everybody, and again, I'm pretty sure Wolf knows what I'm talking about here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is from WrestleMania Axxess last year. When was the last time you saw this?
I don't know. Maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't know if the audio is going to come out. Of course, I can always fix it and edit and post if needed. But this was us at WrestleMania Axxess last year, where we got to pretend we were commentators.
This might have been the first time I actually saw the caption.
Rollins with the curb stop.
That wasn't very nice.
And a big opportunity looking at
Not getting any audio.
You're not getting any audio? Well, damn. That's thank goodness that we brought that up. Essentially, so okay, you know what? If anything, then we can just keep talking over. But yeah, we were commentating.
Rollins picks him up like Lesnar picks him up like the Bill of Hooters.
Yeah. Roman with the spear. Rollins, boom. Yeah,
you were hugging the mic the entire time.
I was hogging the mic.
You didn't let me do my Bobby Heenan thing.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's not like those tickets to Axxess cost $60 or anything, you know.
They were a bit expensive. It's it sucks that you can't get audio, but you know what? For those that are, of course, editing is a wonderful thing, and at this point, we're talking now, but yes,
this makes for thrilling radio. By now,
like again, the positive of editing is that you're probably hearing everything, which means we talked over all of this, which sucks. And I'd say recommended video from you because I pulled it up on Facebook.
Wait, let's see it.
Oh, I just closed it.
No, come on. Aww.
Oh, wait, no, wait. Yeah, so, yeah, welcome to my Facebook, ladies and gentlemen, but...
I love it.
He is copying Chris Jericho's debut.
I'm getting really into TikTok during this quarantine.
And Wolf wants to set one up. But anyways, let's get right back into it because we're losing track here. Your number one. I'm excited for your number one.
Hang on, let me finish chewing.
Yeah. So, let me talk here because when Wolf gave me his top 5, Wolf likes to joke around a lot. Wolf is a big joker. Sometimes when you think he's serious, and he's not. You know, sometimes he pretend, hey, you're not my best friend anymore. No, you really are his best friend. Or sometimes he'll get mad that you don't like his stuff. That's okay, because people have opinions. However, this opinion is probably one of the weirdest ones I think I've ever heard. So, you finished drinking your water, you finished chewing, you're smiling. Wolf, what is your number one cash-in of all time?
Okay. An important thing to know about me is that I hate routine.
Okay.
So,
that's true.
I'm just not a huge fan of, like, doing things the same way over and over and over again. Like, eventually you get tired of like the same old cash-ins. Like, oh, the champion's down. Oh, there's the music. We're going to cash in. We're going to have a new champion. You know, it works. It's great. It's a great pop in the moment, but it gets old. It gets really old. So had it been an actual cash-in, my number one here would be different. It would be Braun Strowman at SummerSlam 2018.
Oh, wow.
Because he comes out before the match and says, I'm not going to sneak up on any of you. I'm just going to tell you right now, once you're done, I'm cashing in. And I'm like, okay, that breaks the formula. That's different. I love that. Unfortunately, that was not an actual cash-in. I mean, he did do that, but Rob Van Dam did that, like, too. But anyway, my favorite cash-in, no matter how much I don't like this wrestler,
oh, sweet Jesus,
is Baron Corbin on SmackDown in 2017. Because we were all, I think Jinder Mahal's title reign was not something we all really enjoyed. I mean, it had its moments.
Yeah.
But we all like assumed, he's cashing in. It's over. We're going to do this. Yep. Okay. We're having a new champion. There's probably going to be a fatal 4-way on Sunday at SummerSlam. All right. Whatever. Wait. Wait, what is? Wait, what? Cena, what are you doing? Wait, what's going on? Wait, what? Wait, what? Oh my God! He cashes in and loses the briefcase, and it's not like one of those Damien Sandow or John Cena things where you cash in, you have the match, and you lose. It was like you had the chance to sneak attack this dude that just had a match, and you lost. Oh my God!
Yep.
It defied convention. It's an insanely stupid decision. Because why bother giving him the case in the first place if you're not going to do anything with him? But I just loved how different it was. It subverted our expectations. We were all like dreading the concept of a Baron Corbin WWE title run, and we thought, he has the case. It's going to happen. We might as well get used to it. And then all of a sudden, whoop! Let's pull the rug up. Charlie Brown with the football. Oh my God, this was amazing. It was hilarious, and it's everything I want in subverting expectations. I love. This is my favorite moment. It's my favorite Money in the Bank moment, and that's why it's my number one, because it does something different for a guy that's gotten so used to it. It's in the same way that David Meltzer loves Kazuchika Okada matches because he's seen everything. So as someone that can do something different, that kind of gets in his head, and that's why I like this so much, because I'm so used to seeing everything else. This guy plays on my expectations and goes the other way. So, yeah, that's pretty much why, Baron Corbin is my number one cash-in.
So, for context, Corbin did become the third person to fail this cash-in, of course, as Wolf said. John Cena and Damien Sandow at second and first, respectively. And I think one of the reasons why that just in general, number one, I don't like Corbin. I said it a few weeks ago. Well, some people may not know. Well, unless you were hearing some past episodes. But yes, I am not a Corbin fan in the slightest bit. I hate the King aspect. I always hated him from day one. He has a great entrance theme. Not the King edited part, just like the original one that he had before he got the King remix or the whatever. Just not a fan. Not a fan at all. And I was not happy when he won that briefcase. I thought it was one of the biggest wastes. I knew it was going to be a big waste when he won the briefcase, and I said that, ladies and gentlemen, is your third failed cash-in. I had that calling. That was during the last podcast run after the count, and again, like at that time, like I was saying it on episodes then, and I'll say it again. I laughed my ass off. I knew I could not believe it. I was at my friend's house. I was at a buddy's house, and then Corbin came running in, and when he failed, I was laughing. He was laughing because it was my old podcast co-host Austin Owens, because we looked at each other and we knew that we were going to have a blast the next day, because SmackDown was on a Tuesday. We recorded on Wednesdays, and we went right into the podcast room and we were laughing for a good 20 minutes. We were just in tears. It was a big waste, and of course, another question from there is like, why did he fail? Why did the WWE not put the title on him? And again, kind of like Ziggler, potentially backstage politics. I don't know, but I hope, and I hope that if it wasn't a politics, it was just the fact that they just realized that he's not good, horrible on the mic, horrible in the ring. At the time, yes, sure, Corbin has gotten a little bit better on the mic. I still don't think he's the be all end all.
Oh no, no, God, no! I'm better than him.
Exactly, I'm better than him. We're both better than him. That's why we do this podcast.
Yeah, watch him come after us now.
Yeah, we're done. We're so done. But I just did not.
He's gonna talk about this tomorrow night on Backstage.
Yeah. Just like, two guys, one in Toronto, one in New York, or whoever the hell he sounds, and this ugly ass bald head. But again, point is, I don't know. I mean, he had a receding hairline, so he had to do it at the time of the cash-in. But again, like I hope that it was just they realized that he was just not ready for it. And I honestly, I don't even think he'll ever be that world champ. I sincerely don't. I think King of the Ring sure could be fine for somebody like him. I just don't see it.
I'm not a fan of him, but I see enough value in him. I see he's skilled in the ring. I'll give him that. I'm just not a fan. And he does the right things to get people to boo him. I just want to see less of him.
Yeah.
Like here's something we don't really talk about, or kind of went under our radar. When Edge first came back in the Royal Rumble, the first person that gave him a bump was Baron Corbin. They trusted him enough to be able to give him a deep six.
That's true. That is very true.
I think Corbin is a decent worker. He's not great, but the right opponent can get a good match out of him. Like him versus Kalisto or Sin Cara, those were really good matches.
Sure.
I actually would not mind seeing him versus Mysterio, and I feel like we might get some of that in this year's ladder match.
Yeah, that's right.
Provided it's not in the middle of a copy room or whatever, since it's inside a goddamn building.
You know what? I think it's going to be in the boardroom. I'm going to call the boardroom. We'll talk about that next week.
We had the boardroom during the Edge match.
True, we did. Yeah, and Corbin is in that ladder match. Of course, he could be the second two-time winner, technically third if you want to count Edge's
Mr.
like
Kennedy.
Yeah, at the Edge Mr. Kennedy moment when Edge won the briefcase off Mr. Kennedy. By the way, somebody who was screwed at the time in 2007 because he thought he had a really bad injury. Kennedy thought he had a really bad injury, which is why he had to relinquish the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then they realized he never did. So, and that's why Edge had it. And then Edge cashed in the week up. But we could see Corbin in that spot again. Again, I hope not, personally. I see your point, and I know I've gone into arguments with people. I know, for example, Alex Mirza, who we had last week, I got into arguments with him talking about Baron Corbin. And I remember I was saying that there's just something about it just irks me. And I think it was the oversaturation of Corbin, especially when he was general manager. I think it was just, I think it just was too much. And I agree with you. I think less is more. But they do trust him, and yes, he does stuff to get people to boo him. I think at the end of the day, I just do not want to see him with another Money in the Bank briefcase. I don't think he will. And of course, tune in next week when Wolf and I are back. We're gonna pick two new participants for the pay-per-view predictions for the Under the Middle Rope Championship. And right now, you're
My
not
championship. Mine.
We'll get into that talk next week.
It's mine.
Final thoughts on the top five?
I'm pretty happy with my picks. I mean, obviously Rollins is like great, but I just got more enjoyment out of watching Corbin.
Fair. I'm fine with my pick too, and I think at the end of the day, it just goes into how much I love WrestleMania, and the fact it happened on that stage just made it so much better. Let's switch gears. Let's quickly switch gears here. This was the only big thing we're talking about. The second part of Nick's Patron of the week discussion was who do you think will benefit from that? And I was talking with Wolf, and we figured let's save it for next week. Everybody just get you tuned in next week because it is our prediction show next week, like I said, and I think that's a good time to properly elaborate who we think merits the title and merits the briefcase, I should say, and what happens from there. So I want to switch gears here to some small news that broke out earlier today. And that is officially we are not going to get WWE 2K21 due to for starters, 2K20 was a disaster. It was a complete disaster. So bad that Alex Mirza, who has us in a fantasy little wrestling promotion, which is great, and WWE 2K19, he said 2K20 was so bad, we're just going to keep the entire promotion in 2K19. I cannot blame him. 2K20 was horrendous. So the 2K video game company announced today that they're going to be holding productions for 2020 for this year's game, and they're going to save it for WWE for next year for WWE 2K22, where they hope to improve everything, drastically overhaul. I don't know how big of an overhaul we're going to get. I know people were begging for stuff like, for example, GM mode or universal, or more in-depth universal, a more in-depth universe, like franchise mode kind of thing. I know personally for me, I would love to see there's stuff like, for example, MLB that has like custom leagues that you can make with friends. Why not do like custom, like online GM modes with friends? I don't know. A whole lot of options. There's going to be a lot that they hope to overhaul for 2021. Which leads us to this year's game, and they are going to come out with a game, but it's just not part of the 2K series. It is developed by 2K, but they're going a completely different route, which is called WWE Battlegrounds. The trailer was released today on Twitter by 2K, and it is a completely different animation. It is a more arcade-styled game, and once again, Wolf is laughing. I'm sure I feel like I know why, and I'm going to say that right now. I hope is what I'm about to say is that the trailer included stuff like The Rock throwing John Cena towards an alligator and beating the alligator, the 16-time world heavyweight champion.
This isn't the way I expected a sequel to the Dwayne Johnson movie Rampage, but I'm happy we're getting it.
So that's what I just want to quickly discuss. So, Wolf, your thoughts on Battlegrounds? Your first impressions of it? What do you think is going to come out of it?
I mean, I'm not much of a gamer, so I don't really have much of a leg to stand on when I talk about this kind of things. But you know what? If your fan base really didn't care for what you put out before, and you really had that many problems, fine, take the time, come back with something better. I'm happy that they're doing something different. I want to know why they took a David Lynch script and turned it into some sort of video game with alligators eating people they can't see. But, whatever. Go nuts. Lean into it. It's different. Like I said with Corbin, I like things that are different from what I expect if you do the same thing over and over again. The last WWE game I bought was WWE 2K16. And frankly,
that wasn't a bad one.
I never didn't feel the need, A, because I had an Xbox 360 and that was the last game they made for it. And B, I didn't really know what else was different about the new games. But this seems different, and I like different.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so I before. Let me think here. The earlier games that I had were Day of Reckoning 2. That was my last game before I skipped all the PS2 because I didn't have a PS2. Skipped all the Xboxes, and I didn't get back into a WWE video game until 2K13. 2K13 had 14, skipped 15. I think I had 16, and then 17, 18, 19. I think I had. They were all the same, except for with the exception of 2K13 that had I think every WrestleMania stage, or 2K14, or essentially it was the same thing, and I think it burned them badly because again I had 2K18 which had I think it was AJ Styles or Rollins was on the cover, and then AJ the next year. I kid you not. I did not see a damn difference. There was nothing to me. The only difference was probably the storyline for the player. And even then, you're like, okay, great, but what's different? What's something that would reel me into this, right? And what I was saying, outside of the podcast, the game, there's something about the earlier games, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown 2, Know Your Role for the PS1, Day of Reckoning 1 and 2, WrestleMania 19. They all felt arcade, a bit of an arcade mode type game, but it just felt more loose. They didn't focus on the authentic. They just wanted a game that could just do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And I think that when you focus too much on the authentic, especially in the world of wrestling, it's going to burn you out. I think stuff like MLB is great with the authentic stuff because they are able to enhance their modes. They enhance their different stuff like Diamond Dynasty, custom leagues and stuff like that. WWE barely did anything to do it, and I'm happy that they're not doing a 2K21. It's a relief. Just stick to 2K19 if you really want a WWE video game. Don't worry about the previous ones. Just stick to that if you really want it, because that's going to be more, I guess, to date one, because 20 is still trash. As for Battlegrounds, not bad. You're right. It's different for sure. I haven't seen a game like that since probably that one called WWE Superstars or Legends of WrestleMania, something along those lines. There was an archaic, cartoony type game in the past, I think. And you're right. This looks intriguing. Becky Lynch's fists burning on fire, John Cena getting killed by an alligator as if he was in the Australian outback or something. It's different. You're right. And will I get it? I don't know. I do want to see more. I want to see more than a 50-second trail. What's it going to entail? But I could be enticed.
If it's on the Switch, I'll get it. I'm not buying another game system.
Sure. And I think I think you've had a few games on the Switch, but I have a PS4 in the living room. I would probably get, again, maybe I would. I think that'd be the first time I would play a demo in years if I were to get that game. But it looks promising. I think it looks promising. I mean, the graphics are not it's not supposed to be it's not supposed to be this top end thing. So yeah, I think I it's something different. At least we're getting a game. I don't want people complaining, saying no, we're not. Let 2K fix their massive issues from 2K20, and let's get a properly game with features that everybody's been dying for. I know Xavier Woods has been pushing for GM mode, for crying out loud. So
give him what he wants.
Let's move on to our final segment. It's X of the Week, where we pick either a pay-per-view, superstar, promo, and just give it a highlight of the weekend. This week, I figured let's stick with the Money in the Bank theme. It is a pay-per-view that had many, many big moments. I'm talking about Money in the Bank 2011 from Chicago, Illinois. I bring this up because I wanted to entice Wolf because his second favorite wrestler is CM Punk. So if you had to pick a moment, and I kind of just set it up for you, one of your favorite moments from Money in the Bank 2011.
Well, obviously, it's Rey Mysterio losing his mask in the middle of the ladder match. No, it's CM Punk making that entrance to the grand crowd, that grand hometown crowd. Probably the loudest pop I've ever heard.
It's up there. It's up there for sure. And I was in an arena.
I'm not going to rank them. I mean, a very significant moment. I loved it. He had his moment. He won the title, which no one really thought he would, since no one knew if it was a work or a shoot that he was leaving the company. And he even called for Del Rio to come cash in. He's like, nah, I'm just going to go. Bye, guys. And I think that was kind of unheard of. So I loved that moment. That's it for me.
The blur between the lines were so good that night, between that Punk moment. The one moment I want to bring up, and I love this. This moment still makes me laugh. And one of the biggest reasons why it makes me laugh because of how hilarious it was. But again, when I was back on by the old podcast in 2017, our co-host Austin had to look it up when we brought this up because he thought we were kidding. Randy Orton, Christian. Randy Orton, the World Heavyweight Champion. And if Randy Orton was disqualified, he would lose the title to Christian. So Orton's snapping. Orton's really having a lot of built up tension. He just snapped and just kicked Christian below the belt. One swift kick to the nuts, and it was a disqualification, and Christian became champion. And I just find that so funny because, it's if you were in that position, Wolf, would you agree to, hey, kick me below the belt so I can be champion?
Yes.
Of course.
100%.
Of course you would. I would 100% say that. I'd be like,
oh, I'm wearing a cup.
Yeah. Wait, you're doing what? Oh, that's how I'm going to win the title?
I'm wearing
Perfect,
a cup.
I'm champion.
Yeah.
And aside from the hilarious moment that's how Christian becomes champion, Christian became champion. It's a lot of people wanted him on that pedestal. Again, didn't amount to much. And I was just after Edge retired too, so there was a little bit of significance for him, but I'm happy for him, and I'm just happy that I can't remember if it was his first or second reign. I know he had a fair amount. Sorry, Wolf has been all over the pretzel game today.
Hungry, damn it.
Hey, aren't we all? But I was happy for Christian in the sense that, hey, you got it, and all it just took was getting kicked in the nuts. So that is our episode, short and sweet today. Wolf, as always, thank you so much for coming on. I know you love doing this, and yes, I will come up with another fun excuse as to why you're coming on this podcast next week.
Yeah, keep it coming. And also, can you pick up some half and half? I want to have some coffee.
Yeah, I can get you some coffee.
Not in bags though. Come on, why is your milk in bags?
Look, this is called Under the Middle Rope. This is not called Ontario problems. I don't know why our province does that. It's our province and one more in Canada that does that. Milk in bags, not in cartons or whatever you guys do. I don't know why, but we'll leave it. We'll leave it at that.
A little jug. You can close it afterwards. I know. Now I cut open a bag. I feel pressure to drink the entire bag.
We have jugs and orange. I don't know. Wolf is going to be back next week for our Money to Make predictions. Let's get to the closing. You made it to the end of the episode. My apologies for those audio glitches and errors that we've had earlier in the discussion. I must have hit the mute button by accident on my microphone, and then the weird video with the commentary. Again, I know that all sounded like a bit of a blurb. My apologies for that. Trial and error, people. Money in the Bank is always a fun season for sure, if you want to call it a season, just because you get so many fun moments associated with that briefcase for sure. And going through 15 years was definitely fun. And of course, you have your people like Wolf who put Baron Corbin in their top cash-ins of all time. And while I certainly appreciate and respect his values and opinions, nobody else is going to agree with that statement. Next week is our predictions episode. I didn't even realize our predictions episode was next week until I looked in the calendar and I said, whoa. Of course, like I said, Andrew is going to come to the podcast to make his predictions. And of course, we're going to have new people or maybe even some old ones that try to get my Under the Middle Rope Predictions Championship. I am ready for a title defense. Of course, people have said that I rigged the WrestleMania predictions. How do you possibly predict that? Rig that? Beats me. Just a bunch of bitter people, and I am ready to go. And in saying that, that is that. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, all the social media links are here below and in the description box, Facebook, Twitter, available wherever you get your podcast. And if you feel so inclined, you can head over to Patreon to help support me and the channel and its future. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, please, and we will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.